No, no, but because I have as well business, it doesn't sound. But so we will have this window now. But as you stay longer, let's arrange between tonight you are free.
Cameras recorded a tense exchange between the two leaders as President Macron appeared visibly eager to move on to other matters. A moment captured on video that quickly circulated and raised questions about the dynamics of the summit. When Macron told President Zelensky there was other business to do, those 6 words reverberated around the meeting room and stunned observers who saw the remark as brusque given the gravity of the Ukraine crisis. A hot messy moment suggesting that Macron had lost patience with Zelensky's stunned participants at the G7, prompting a flurry of commentary about diplomatic tone, summit priorities, and the pressure leaders face when balancing competing agendas. Macron's brief "I'm busy" remark left Zelensky in an awkward position, projecting an image of strained interaction at a high-stakes forum and sparking debate over whether the exchange reflected fatigue, tactical disagreement, or simply the rush of summit diplomacy. French President Emmanuel Macron appeared to cut short a conversation with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, creating a brief, noticeable pause that was immediately picked up by cameras and social media and prompted questions about the tone and substance of their exchange. What was intended as a routine diplomatic exchange has sparked a flurry of online speculation, with commentators and viewers parsing body language, timing, and context to infer whether the interaction signaled tension, fatigue, or simply the hectic pace of summit diplomacy. Macron was seen embracing Zelensky in a gesture of courtesy, yet cameras also captured an awkward moment that followed, underscoring how quickly warm protocol can give way to visible discomfort when leaders juggle competing commitments and pressures. The Ukrainian president appeared somber as he arrived at the G7 summit for high-stakes talks, projecting the weight of the conflict back home and the urgent diplomatic agenda he carried into meetings with world leaders. In a moment that raised eyebrows, Macron seemed to remind Zelensky of other commitments awaiting him, a terse reminder that highlighted the crowded schedule of the summit and fed speculation about whether priority differences or summit logistics shaped the brief interaction.
Thank you for the invitation. Come on. How's everything? Good. Yeah? When did you arrive?
At night. And not too much to sleep, but it's all good.
And how long do you stay?
Here,
Yeah.
interesting that I will be tomorrow here because I have to go to 18th to Brussels.
Yeah?
That's why I will be all day France, I think, because I need to come to Brussels
So first, do you have bilaterals being organized?
with President Thomas.
We have a G7 plus Ukraine discussion. So it's 7 of us, just plus you. So we don't have many. So yesterday we had a good discussion, but our main perspective is to say the discussion. No, but because I have as well business, it doesn't sound. But so we will have this window now. But as you stay longer, let's arrange between tonight you are free.
Yes.
The 52nd G7 summit is taking place from June 15th to 17th in Evian-les-Bains, France, bringing together world leaders for a packed agenda of high-level diplomacy, security discussions, and economic coordination against the scenic backdrop of the French lakeshore. The conflicts in Iran and Ukraine are expected to dominate the summit schedule, with leaders prioritizing crisis management, humanitarian responses, and coordinated measures to prevent further escalation while seeking diplomatic pathways forward. US President Trump asserted that Russia should negotiate a peace deal with Ukraine, a statement he framed as a call for direct bargaining to end hostilities, even as analysts note the political and practical complexities such an agreement would face. Meanwhile, UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer is set to announce a fresh round of sanctions against Russia, signaling London's intent to tighten economic pressure and to work with allies on measures designed to constrain Moscow's capacity to fund and sustain its military operations. UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer vowed a fresh round of sanctions targeting Russia's economic and strategic sectors while also announcing plans to provide nuclear-related energy support to Ukraine, framing the measures as part of a broader effort to both punish aggression and shore up Kiev's long-term resilience. Starmer pledged to tighten the financial noose on Moscow by squeezing Russian revenue through additional sanctions, export controls, and allied coordination designed to limit Kremlin access to hard currency, technology, and critical supply chains. The Prime Minister made his declaration during the G7 meeting taking place in France this week, using the high-level forum to rally partners and to underline the UK's intention to lead diplomatic and economic pressure on Russia. Starmer is expected to hold bilateral meetings with Ukraine's president and India's prime minister on June 16, signaling a diplomatic push to coordinate support for Kyiv while also engaging key global partners on security and economic issues. The UK's latest threat of sanctions came just days after British forces seized a tanker linked to Russia's Shadow Fleet, an operation that both demonstrated enforcement muscle and escalated tensions between London and Moscow. Observers say Starmer may use the G7 platform to reassure US President Trump and other allies while negotiating commitments to raise defense spending and strengthen collective deterrence, a diplomatic agenda that blends reassurance with pressure. In response to a string of devastating Russian strikes on Ukraine, Starmer pledged £210 million in new assistance, committing significant funds to humanitarian relief, military support, and reconstruction efforts to help Kyiv cope with the immediate and long-term consequences of the attacks. Keir Starmer said, and I quote, "We will stand with Ukraine for as long as it takes, and this announcement reinforces that. Putin should roll back his tanks, end his barbaric strikes, and come to the negotiating table." Unquote. The United Kingdom is preparing to supply Ukraine with enriched uranium earmarked for use by its civilian nuclear power producer, a move presented by London as essential to maintaining Kyiv's energy security and ensuring uninterrupted operation of its nuclear reactors amid wartime supply disruptions. Officials say the deal was reached during a high-profile meeting between Prime Minister Keir Starmer and President Volodymyr Zelensky at Downing Street, where both leaders emphasized the strategic importance of steady nuclear fuel deliveries alongside continued military and economic support. According to reports, this agreement builds on a preceding two-year arrangement to supply nuclear fuel to Ukraine, extending and formalizing cooperation that aims to stabilize Ukraine's civilian energy sector while navigating complex export controls and safety safeguards. New sanctions proposed by the UK would be calibrated to target Russian financial networks and to broaden the list of sanctioned vessels, a dual approach intended to cut Kremlin access to revenue streams and to disrupt the maritime channels used by sanctioned entities. London also plans to focus sanctions on a Russian state-linked network implicated in procuring Western technology, measures designed to choke off the channels through which sensitive equipment and dual-use items are acquired and diverted to military or sanctioned programs.